up on this year in review edition of West Side Stories, we take a look back and reflect upon the life of Helen Devos.
Plus, we revisit the bigger-than-ever Artprize in downtown Grand Rapids.
And the story of how mental health impacts college students across the country. All that and plenty more next on West Side Stories Year in Review.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications, inspiring thought, perfecting practice.
Welcome to this special 2017 Year in Review edition of West Side Stories. I'm Preston Donikoski.
And I'm Callie Hubbard. 2017 has been an exciting year for us here at West Side Stories. Preston and I are working with Grand Valley State University's Multimedia Journalism program to produce this show. And we want to gratefully acknowledge the production and support of WGVU.
West Side Stories covers events and happenings on the Sunset side of Michigan. We meet the people and explore the places that make the west side of Michigan one of the best places to live and work in the Midwest.
On today's show, we'd like to bring you some of our favorite stories from 2017. We call it our Year in Review show Part 1, and you'll see Part 2 next week.
And as we start to look back on 2017, we agreed that we should start by honoring the passing of philanthropist Helen Devos.
Helen Devos' generosity and concern for the health of children is legendary in Grand Rapids. Our own Reagan Blissett filed this report, celebrating her life and keeping her memory alive.
Many considered Helen Devos a beacon of light and hope, especially for children. It is perhaps fitting then that for the first time, the clock towers on GVSU campus were bathed in blue light in remembrance of Helen Devos.
We thought it was very important to take an extra step upon the occasion of Mrs. Devos' passing to remind everyone here of that this probably wouldn't exist the way it does today, and maybe not at all, if it weren't for the DeVosses and the Seidmans and the founding families.
To have the clock tower and also the bio there so students can understand how important this individual was to the life and vitality of Grand Valley State University was very, very special. And then I authorized lowering the Grand Valley flag to half-mast at the same time, because we want to recognize those individuals who made such a significant impact. We're talking about this university 150 years from now being founded on people like Helen Devos.
I would have the opportunity to see Mrs. Devos typically several times a year at university events. She and Rich would almost always come together, and she was charming and warm and thoughtful, always had a wonderful smile.
Many remember Helen Devos as a caring, compassionate woman. The DeVos family helped change the landscape of West Michigan with their donations. Richard Devos is the co-founder of Amway, and the Devos Place holds hundreds of events each year.
Not only was Helen Devos a philanthropist, she was also an advocate for the health and well-being of children. That's why 11 years ago, the Helen Devos Children's Hospital was named in her honor.
The Medical Mile in Grand Rapids is home to the Helen Devos Children's Hospital, where the Devos family was a major donor.
I think Helen's passion for children just came from her faith and her love of her own family. She was a very warm and generous person. When she was younger, she was a teacher. So it seemed all very logical to us. You know, you could tell that she had a passion for children's health.
Although Helen Devos is no longer with us, her legacy lives on. And the hospital that bears her name will continue to help children for years to come.
Well, we're very, very privileged that Helen Devos Children's Hospital, that Helen lets us use her name. We're very, very proud of that. And our responsibility to our community has always been something that we've taken very seriously. And of course, our responsibility to the family is the same. She had a very special place in her heart for us.
And many in West Michigan say Helen Devos has a special place in their hearts too. In Grand Rapids, I'm Reagan Blissett.
A local teenager made good on her promise to deliver over 200 presents to Helen Devos Children's Hospital. According to a story by Fox 17 News, 16-year-old Riley Kaiser was a former patient. She said she just wanted to give something back.
One of the big events every year in Grand Rapids is Artprize. This year, Artprize promised to be bigger than ever, and as reporter Eric Dio reports, they succeeded.
Each year, Artprize brings together hundreds of pieces of artwork to the city of Grand Rapids for a 19-day-long celebration of individuality and self-expression. The first Artprize took place back in 2009, and since then, it has become the most attended public art event in the world, according to artprize.org.
The first thing they say is, wow. That's what I notice.
Daniel Oropeza is a sculptor from Orange County, California, who made a sculpture of a horse by fusing together bronze and glass. Oropeza says that his key to success comes from taking risks and pushing his own limits from time to time.
If I'm not working on the edge of failure, I'm probably being safe. But safe from what? My own ego? That's ridiculous.
While Oropeza and several other artists use their respective medium to explore the boundaries of their skill, many other artists explored an altogether different boundary. Social injustice, the Flint water crisis, civil unrest. These are just a few of the more politically charged themes at Artprize this year, which some are viewing as a response to the current socio-political climate.
It's a prediction of the future, perhaps, with the little other graphics that are beyond the image itself.
At City Hall, viewers take in some of the pieces on display and reflect on what message they feel the artist was trying to convey.
This artwork instills, honestly, fear, and I think that's what the artist did a very good job of portraying this and kind of portraying him as foreign and not for the United States, but against.
Just around the corner from the painting titled Blackface Trump, a painting dedicated to the Black Lives Matter movement invites viewers to participate in the piece.
Critical time, and I'm glad I'm living through it. And being a part of it with my skin color, I have a part of it, and I think that's really powerful, yeah.
Roscoe Johnson is a media production contractor and said that the Black Lives Matter painting spoke to him about what he feels still needs to be done.
We should try that. We all need to come together and figure it out. Put our egos aside and really embrace the human race. But there's work that needs to be done, a lot of work, and I think that it couldn't have happened in a better time, and I'm glad that I'm witnessing it.
Ronald Tamarez and Minette Martinez were also among the spectators at City Hall. When they entered the building, they were immediately drawn to a painting titled Open Season.
So far, this one has been the most meaningful that I've seen so far.
Tamarez describes the painting as relatable and timely.
You can see the emotion in the picture, I feel like. And with everything that's going on now, I feel like it's very realistic. You know, black men being killed for no reason pretty much is just something that's really been happening a lot lately.
Artists taking risks, pushing boundaries, and showing courageous self-expression is not at all hard to come by at this year's Artprize. Some would even say it's a necessary step in the path to progress.
So whenever I hear the word, you can't do that, it's never been done, well, isn't that where our only opportunities are?
In case you missed it, this year's $200,000 Artprize award went to Seitu Jones for his presentation of the Heartside Community Meal.
We all know life can be stressful, just ask college students during final exams. But sometimes serious mental health issues are not easy to spot. According to the National Institute for Mental Health, suicide is the second leading cause of death in 15 to 34-year-olds. Reporter Savannah Bressman explores what it means to struggle with suicidal thoughts and what you can do to help those who are struggling.
According to the Centers for Disease and Control Prevention, America commits 113 suicides per day, which equals out to be 1 every 13 minutes.
The problem is especially serious on college campuses. In a recent study by the University of California, 12% of college freshmen said they were depressed, and about 90% of those who commit suicide are clinically depressed. This, according to WebMD. To help understand the personal nature of suicidal thoughts, we talked to a survivor, Emma. That's not her real name, but that's what we'll call her. Emma says she continues to struggle with suicidal thoughts.
I still continue to think that I wanted to die, even though I no longer actively wanted to or had an idea of how I would do so. the more you think about an idea, the more plausible it seems. And I got used to thinking of that as a possibility, as something I could do if worst came to worst. So then even years later, when I whined every once in a while, when I encountered a difficult situation.
Thoughts of suicide still haunt Emma. Not only do victims go through this emotional battle, but so do people like Audra Scholl.
I was in the car with my dad and my brother on our way to Myers, and my sister called. And I answered the phone because my dad was driving, and I couldn't tell if she was crying or laughing. And she goes, you know, oh, give the phone to Dad, give the phone to Dad. So I did. And then he turned around the car, and we went home. And when we got home, he goes, your half-brother Jared killed himself.
According to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Michigan is currently ranked 34th in the nation for highest suicide rates. Within Michigan, suicides are the 10th leading cause of deaths overall. 2 times the amount of people die from suicide rather than homicide each year. On average, 1 person will die from suicide every 6 hours within the state. Most victims give warning signs, but family and friends may not understand the significance of ignoring these signs.
From what I can remember, nothing, like I can't think of anything that would have caused him to want to kill himself.
Helen Devos Children's Hospital works with victims or young adults experiencing suicidal thoughts. Elizabeth Cole, Section Chief of Pediatric Behavioral Medicine, explains the importance of ignoring warning signs of suicide.
I think the most important thing is just not to ignore it. I think that's what stigma does, doesn't allow us to actually talk openly about it. It's important to treat it like any other illness.
I think a good thing to do is just listen and try to control your own reaction, because when you feel in control, it helps the person who is in the situation feel more in control and more capable of handling it.
Along with medical professionals, there are alternative ways to seek help. The most commonly used is a suicide hotline or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline that is available to anyone in need 24/7. You can chat, text, or call with a trained representative. There are even nonprofit organizations like I Understand, a local network created to help patients or families going through this rough time. They provide emotional support and I Understand care packages to family and patients following a mental health crisis.
Thanks to Savannah Bressman and Sam Schrepferman for bringing us that report.
Grand Valley State University's LGBT Resource Center celebrated its 10-year anniversary in 2017. West Side Stories reporter Nia Slade filed this report on what the center means to the LGBT community at GVSU.
Grand Valley State University's LGBT Resource Center is celebrating its 10-year anniversary. The Resource Center was founded by Milton Ford, a former professor at Grand Valley State University who taught within liberal studies. His vision was to create an inclusive and just environment where the many expressions of gender sexuality are celebrated. Troy Taylor says the center really helps him.
I remember back my freshman year, when I first moved into Robinson, that's where I lived, I didn't think there were any other gay people on campus besides me and my friend Portia. But once I found out about the LGBT Resource Center, I realized oh, there's a ton of people that are just like me. And then once I went in there was so much support. Everybody was so open and welcoming that I just felt comfortable right away.
Milton Ford, who passed away in 2014, created the LGBT Center to help students like Troy.
People can grow up knowing who they are, and not only knowing who they are, but to claim who they are, and not to have all kinds of false starts, not to have to spend tons of energy in covering up who they are, not to have it a big traumatic event to come out, but a celebration within a context that's there for them.
The LGBT Center has grown a lot in the last 10 years. The center has a lavender graduation each year where students from queer and allied students get recognized for their personal achievements. The center also has special workshops and sessions to help LGBT first-year students at GVSU. And if a student chooses, the center even provides guidance on how to change their name on their student ID.
Well, celebrating the 10-year has been really exciting for us because we've gotten to see the center grow in a lot of wonderful and dynamic ways. 10 years ago when we started off, a lot of people asked, right? Are there a lot of LGBT students? Who will we be serving? What does that look like? And we've seen over the last 10 years that we have an amazing, beautiful, and vibrant LGBTQIA+ community.
The LGBT Center opened in 2008. Since then, it has been reorganized and placed under the umbrella of Inclusion and Equity Department of the university. Although the center is for students who identify with the LGBT community, they also host workshops and training sessions to educate others on how to be respectful to those who identify as LGBT.
Utilizing someone's pronouns is just a very basic measure of respect for that individual. It's kind of similar to how, throughout my life, a lot of people have given me various interpretations of my name. It's a multisyllabic name, it's very, Black, and folks have not gotten it correct. They've gotten close, but none of it, felt quite right to me. And each time kind of felt like a slap in my face when folks, just give me whatever name they wanted to because my name was too difficult for them.
LGBT students say that the LGBT Center has been a great influence in their lives. They say Milton Ford has built a place where students feel safe and respected. 10 years has gone by fast, and they say they are excited to see what 10 more will bring. In Allendale, Michigan, I am Nia Slade.
According to the LGBT Resource Center website, the center now offers 3 endowed scholarships, and special programs reach and support hundreds of students each year.
Earlier in the show, we visited Artprize 9 and met some high-profile artists, but others, while less well-known, had very powerful stories too. Jessica Kroll introduces us to one such artist who overcame some big challenges in order to bring her art to Grand Rapids. GVSU senior Castina Bombardo and 5 other jewelry and metalsmithing students entered wearable art into an Artprize exhibit called Unexpected Pleasures.
I really wanted it to be about self-restraint, and for me personally it was with my nail biting, so I decided to take silver castings of my actual fingers and then use it to replicate my right hand grabbing my left hand.
Bombardo has been diagnosed with OCD. Working with her hands on 3D mediums has helped her to overcome this obstacle and express herself.
In a normal classroom setting, it's really hard to pay attention. I'd always have to bring Play-Doh to class just to have it in my hand so I could even concentrate on what they were saying. But in art, you really have to take whatever you're feeling and make it a piece. And I had all of these rushing emotions just waiting to come out. So it's really helped express it, and also it's a good medium to work through. So it's all with my hands. I'm never just sitting still, listening to a lecture.
Bombardo has been creating since a young age, but tragedy put a halt on her talent.
When my mom passed away when I was 14, I kind of took a detour, let it go for a little bit, and couldn't really figure out how I'd be able to incorporate it into my life, especially in college.
Her inspiration to continue creating? Her own family.
Definitely my mom and grandmother. They were both really big into art, but neither of them found out until they were older, and they were both amazing at what they did, and I kind of wanted to take their inspiration but start from the beginning and make it my life.
For West Side Stories, I'm Jessica Kroll. Bombardo says her Artprize experience was very rewarding and plans to make the trip back to Grand Rapids next year.
Well, Artprize is the big annual event in Grand Rapids. Grand Haven celebrates fall with its annual Salmon Fest. This year, our own Emery Freilich checked out the 14th annual event.
A 3-day festival of art, education, and entertainment that pays tribute to some of the area's best waterways. The Grand Haven Salmon Festival offers food, wine, and music from across the state. But not all the events happen on land. Executive Director for the Grand Haven Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and Festival Director Marcy Cisneros explains that the Big King Fishing Contest has a lot of support.
Well, it's a cash prize, and then they also do have some items that have been donated that people win as well. It's always a lot of excitement. Sometimes they have to go out far to get their catch. Sometimes it's at the mouth of the river, sometimes they're in the river. So, and the captains, really, it's up to them, and that's their expertise. We have a great group of charter captains here that either take their team out or they are chartering a group of folks that come out.
The team of Second Sucks, led by Captain Bob Brown, took first in the fishing contest after catching a 16¼ pound salmon. Brown said it took a long time before the team caught their first fish, but it turned out to be a winner.
4 hours? 3 hours, 3.5 hours? Probably four hours before we got our first fish. We didn't have many in the box, nothing in the box before we caught that one. And then we picked up a couple after that, but that was the one that counted. That's all that matters.
Second sucks weren't the only winners at the Salmon Festival. Thomas Enterline, an Army veteran and king of Rasenga's Purple Romp Grape Stomp, explains what a grape stomp is and what it takes to be a champion.
So 30 seconds of stomping against another opponent. Basically, I did 4 of those, so 2 minutes straight of high-speed stomping. But after each round, they hold up the jug of juice, and then the audience votes on which one's more full. After 25 years in the Army and doing a lot of physical training, I can stomp my feet pretty good.
But the Salmon Festival isn't all about competitions and prizes. Wineries from all over the state come out to offer a variety of vineyard blends for visitors to sample and enjoy. Lisa Paulus is the manager at the Lemon Creek Winery's tasting room in Grand Haven and says that the festival is a great chance for people to explore the many different wines Michigan has to offer.
I think it definitely helps our business. That's why we do events, because we reach out. I know that our tasting room's here in Grand Haven, but a lot of people come from out of town to this event every year. In fact, I think I see more out-of-town people than I do local people. So it's always good to get our wine out there, to be outside the tasting room in a different environment and have people see us.
Along with wine came a side of salmon, as local chefs prepared their best fishy dishes to be judged not only by the critics, but also the guests.
We really encourage the Michigan factors, so there's a lot of Michigan ingredients, local ingredients in all of their dishes. So they get judged on best presentation, most Michigan influence, most creative, and then Judges' Choice, People's Choice.
With all the competitions going on at the Salmon Festival, there are plenty of winners, but perhaps the biggest winners were the city of Grand Haven and the state of Michigan. From the Salmon Festival at Grand Haven, Michigan, I'm Emery Freilich.
Now, a story like that makes me miss summer, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does, Preston. And as we mentioned earlier in this show, we're very grateful that WGVU gives us production support for West Side Stories. They also provide us with digital stories they produce and host on their WGVU Digital Studios website.
So Kathleen, as we talk about Order Up, the idea of Order Up, and we're talking about now catering, what is the secret to a good catered event, such as you do at Applause?
Okay, well, there's a lot of elements to a good catered event. It starts obviously with the food. You have to have excellent food. We take a lot of pride in our great people. We provide really great service. So all those elements that add in with the flair that we put into the setup, the time and effort that we take on the sales end, getting to know our clients, getting to know the customers, whether it's a bride and groom, could be a prom, could be any type of an event. All those things add up to make it an event. So it's not just a meal in front of you, it's an entire event that we work on. We go through every single event, down to every detail you can think of, from what's on the menu to what color the linens are, what people are going to serve the event, what people are going to basically cook the food. All those things come together and we go through every little detail, whether it's the phone number for the DJ, who the florist is, the cake, all those things that come together to make the event. We go through line by line, and so the organization of everything is really what helps put everything all together.
Okay, so let's talk about a little Order Up on the food menu here.
Okay.
The food has to be key because typically people say that is what makes the event.
Right. One of the nicest compliments that we get back after, say, a wedding reception is that people will say, it didn't taste like wedding reception food. Like it tasted like, that great food that you want when you go out to a really nice, fine dining establishment. And so for us, those kinds of things are so heartwarming for us that we hear the appreciation because most chefs, they put their heart and soul into the food. And we have such a good team and so many, talented people that when things like that happen, it just really makes us feel like we've hit a home run. It takes the whole entire team. So we have, different departments, but it's all one team. We have a sales department, we have a culinary department, we have an operations department, we have management people, we have supervisors. But it takes everybody, every server, every bartender, everybody in the organization is what makes us successful.
Support for WGVU Digital Studios Order Up, provided by Spartan Nash. Spartan Nash, taking food places. More at spartannash.com.
As always, great stuff.
Yes, I don't know about you, but that was my favorite Order Up episode of 2017. So thank you again to WGVU Digital Studios for sharing that story with us.
And that is all the time we have for you on part 1 of our West Side Stories 2017 Year in Review. You can join us, I guess it'll be next year in 2018 for part 2 of our show. I'm Preston Donikoski.
And I'm Callie Hubbard. Have a healthy and safe New Year.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications, inspiring thought, perfecting practice.